चलिए, so we are doing RA का है topic, NISM RA, and this is chapter 1, and chapter 1 के बाद naturally the sequence will be doing chapter 2. So chapter 1 and chapter 2 we are doing today. So let's understand the first topic is the primary roles of a research analyst. So what are the primary roles of a research analyst? Primary role of RA क्या क्या करता है, कितने टाइप के RAs होते हैं वो भी समझ लेंगे, है ना. So one is to help in investment decision. The primary role is investment decision, ठीक है. And investment decision में data and information is an important aspect. So he needs to collect data and process. So when does data become information? When you process it, है ना. And the information is both from the macro and the micro economic factors, both. So macro factors plus micro factors when you mix it up. So he collects and processes data. So collects and converts. When he processes, it becomes an information from both the macro and the macro economic factors. ये सारे collect करता है, ठीक है. And this could come from various data sites. One could be RBI, or there could be various government institutions, है ना. Like एक MOSPI होता है, Ministry of Statistics and Planning होता है. Then it could come from IMF. It can come from Asian Development Bank. It could come from Global Development Financial, like UN and all. It can come from various sources, or it could also come from industry publications, which is an important point. In industry publications में क्या है? Largely it is magazines and association के जो publications होते हैं ना. So every sector or every industry has an association and they publish data related to that. So you can be collecting from it. ठीक है? Is it clear? Yes or no? Let's focus here for 1 hour, 1.5 hours. Just focus here. So, and company specific information. So this is industry specific information. Okay, this is industry specific. Second is company specific. Okay, so the company specific will come from this is okay. You want to write it? Done. Now company. I hope you're writing. Company specific info will come from what all sources will you use for company specific? बोलिए. हाँ, financial statements. So it will come from financial statements. And where else will you see that? बताओ. हाँ, so regulatory filings. Reports हो गए. So it is regulatory filings. You will compare. So like for example, filings done to RBI, SEBI, exchanges. Those are regulatory filings. ठीक है? And apart from this, it can come from planned visits, surveys, and interviews. And our con calls also. Yes, con call is a good idea. Con call also. And we specialize in this one. So our network, because we have a network across India, we have, some of our colleagues could be doing plant visits, or we do plant visits. We are doing a lot of surveys, and we are doing interviews also. And fortunately, because we have the newspaper, we also interview a lot of people. So plant visits and surveys and interviews becomes an important this thing. Okay? So the main point is that you should be spending a lot of time as research analyst. You should be spending a lot of time doing what? Doing company interaction. So industry visits, interviews, etc. So you should spend a lot of time interacting with companies and other accumulating data via plant visits, surveys, and interviews. You will have to develop your own network here. Otherwise, so when they say that your network is your net worth, it is because of this reason: plant visits, surveys, and interviews. And for that, you would know You need to know people. There are two types of analyst. So one is a, can you name? One is a, guess what is the name here? What is the other name? So one is a sell side. The second one is a, what does sell side do? What does buy side do? Sell side will do what? Buy side works for who? Sell side works for who? Huh? For clients. So he will have his, he will publish reports. And there are a lot of publication houses, no, research reports that publish. So he will publish the reports, the sell side analyst, and he can sell these reports for a fee or whatever. Okay. Buy side analyst does what? He works for a fund. He works for a fund. So he is writing an internal research report. He's writing what? An internal research report, which will be supplied to the senior managers there, the investment committee or whoever, who will, or to the fund management team, who will then take a call. So sell side analyst is busy writing a research report. Okay. And what kind of research reports they write? So it could be either a buy side or a sell side, or a hold. Usually these are the categories. So if you go to trend line, you will see that the research reports have either a buy or a sell or a hold recommendation. That is how it is put on the research report. Clear? The buy side analyst, whereas, works for some money manager, someone who manages the funds. So he will write a report internally, and then this goes to the investment committee or whatever the fund manager or the portfolio analyst, the manager sits, and they will take a call. So these are the two types. Okay. And this is circulated amongst the top management, which I've already put here, and they will decide then whether they want to buy, hold, or and these research reports, which are written by buy side analysts, they also contain a similar kind of recommendation: buy, sell, or hold. So you would have either a buy recommendation, sell recommendation, or a hold recommendation. Clear hai? And there is a third category also. Can I wipe this off? There is a third category also, which is independent analysts. Okay, they are independent analysts, and they would be providing data to who? They would be providing data to boutique investment banking firms, boutique IB firms. They will sell their data. Okay, so they are not selling to the B2C. They are doing a B2B business kind of a thing. So they work for research originators or boutique firms separate from full service firms, and sell their reports to, they sell their reports to others on a subscription basis. So they essentially, these are independent analysts who supply data to firms on a subscription basis. So whoever takes a subscription, and then they would apply to this one. So they work for, these guys do the research. They would sell on a subscription basis. Okay, these are boutique firms, subscription basis, and these guys, independent analysts, they're not employed by anyone. They're simply supplying to these boutique IB firms, investment banking firms. Okay. And their clients could be anyone. It could be institutional, they could be investment bankers, they could be regulators, stock exchanges, funds. So they are working on their own, and there are institutional clients, or you could be selling it to stock exchanges, for example, or to regulators, or to IB firms, these guys. So the nature is B2B here. There is no B2C. On a subscription basis, that is sold. And they also provide customized reports. Essentially, we are trying to become this. We are independent in nature. We don't work for anyone, and we want to be independent analysts, have our own set of team who will then we will seek clients and supply. So that's an independent analyst. Sell side is they typically publish research reports, and So sell side could publish through his website, through his some subscription model, maybe app, but an independent analyst is usually supplying it to an institution. So that's the difference there. Okay, understood. Now let's understand what are the primary responsibilities of a RA. So let us understand. Thoda sa, can I make it thicker? Is this the thickness or something? Yeah. So primary responsibilities of RA. So one major function is that he serves is he tries to understand the economy. Why would he try and understand? Why would this be a major function, understanding economy? Boli, why would that be a major function? The second function is understanding industry, and the third function or the primary responsibility is understanding company. Bataiye. So why do you think it's an understanding economy is an important function? हाँ हाँ okay, risks involved. Okay, so risks within the economy, and you're saying that industry and company are part, they are part of the economy. That's why growth and risk. ठीक है ना? ठीक है. And Annette and Harshvardhan, why do you think so? हाँ. Okay, so they are operating in some economy under some economic. हाँ. हाँ हमें समझ गया, फनल है. टॉप, हाँ, ड्रॉप डाउन नहीं, टॉप डाउन. It is a top down approach. So you first figuring out the economy, then the industry, and dropping out finally the company out of. हाँ, it is opposite भी कर सकते हो. That's a bottom up approach. You choose the company, then select the industry. Okay, this is a sunrise sector, है ना? हाँ, you talk about the growth of the. Okay. Very rare to be company to be going the opposite. So you would first own the economy and industry, and then that's a good point. It's very rare that that it is going that economy is going down and the company is working up. Correct. So that is an important point. From an exam point, these are all valid reasons. From an exam point, they introduce a very nice point. 1843 to 1946. Okay, there's this guy called. Have you heard of this guy? हाँ, उसके नाम में मे लगा है. वी आर स्टडिंग दिस चैप्टर इन द मंथ ऑफ मे. सो है ना, ही इज अ क्लासिकल इकोनॉमिस्ट. करेक्ट. दीज आर ऑल क्लासिकल इकोनॉमिस्ट. इसके बाद आते हैं नियो इकोनॉमिस्ट, है ना. सो ही स्पोक अबाउट दैट इकोनॉमी could be impacted by the government. So government can impact the economy by changing the taxes. मतलब fiscal spending, है ना. Fiscal spending, you increase or lower or increase the taxes, so you can impact the economy, है ना. So that is why you need to study the economy, because governments can impact the economy. They have the power to impact through change in the tax schemes, है ना. So that is why you would study various economic factors. Okay, what are the various economic macroeconomic factors? What are those? So one of those is national income. I hope you remember, ये सब आपने बचपन में पढ़ा. You have studied this in your childhood. National income. Inflation we spoke about today in the morning. Interest rate, which is linked, है ना, to the interest rate, to the inflation. So interest rate you will study, and also the unemployment. These are the factors that you will consider. So forget about what John Maynard says. I mean, that is an important what Mr. Keynes said. But as far as macroeconomic factors are considered, at least you should be well versed with the national income, the inflation part of it, and a related concept is interest income, and also a related concept which is unemployment. Very, very important. So take a note of this one. You should also understand the fiscal and the monetary policies. Okay. So what are the government spending policies? All the policies that government is spending, you should be very well aware of, especially if it relates to a particular sector that you are investigating. You should also be aware of the monetary policies. So you should have a very good hold. So start reading about what RBI governor has said. Very, very important. You should also understand how there is the foreign direct investment and FPIs also. These all will impact the economic situation in a country. We should also understand the savings rate of a country and the investment patterns in a country, which is India, because we are all sitting in India, so we should understand. We should also understand the global factors that impact your GDP. What all global factors would impact your GDP? Geopolitics would impact. Export import will impact. Yes. Crude oil factors, geopolitical war, crude oil, export import. So what will global factors? So if USD improves, if it strengthens, interest rate in some other countries like US, largely US would impact it. और क्या impact करेगा बताइए? Which all global factors? Currency exchange, gold rates, Federal Reserve, their trade policies, which is very, very important. हाँ वो है वहाँ पे, we will talk about it. So trade factors, balance of trade, the trade policies largely, those are global factors. FDI and FPI, what is the difference between FDI? So fiscal policies, monetary policies, FDI and FPIs, and savings and investment rate and patterns in the country, including the global factors. Now tell me one thing, what is the difference between FDI and FPI? बताइए. तो आप क्या क्या देख रहे हो? One more time, what are you looking at? You are looking at the economic factor, both domestic and global. ठीक है? You are looking at the taxation part of it. Taxation is known as fiscal spending. How much you tax and how much you spend. That's called fiscal policy. ठीक है? उसके अलावा, what is that? You would look at monetary policy, which is nothing but the interest rate and the inflation in the country. So I plus I, interest and inflation, they go hand in hand. If inflation goes up, the interest rate goes up. If inflation goes down, the interest goes down. So they go hand in hand. We will study about it. उसके अलावा investments. So you study about economic conditions, taxation. Economic is your monetary policy. You are anyway studying this monetary policy here. You will study about investments. Okay. Now, what is the difference when it comes to investments? You are studying FDI and FPI. What is the difference between FDI, foreign direct investment, and foreign portfolio investments? What's the difference? बताइए. What's the difference between FDI and FPI? This is stock market. ठीक है? So this could be a greenfield project, or this could be a brownfield project. Brownfield project, matlab it already, the factory already existed in some certain condition, maybe fully built, half built, partly built. You acquire this company, or you do a JV here. And a greenfield is like you take over a empty piece of land. It's like a green land you take over. So SEC. So when foreigners put their money in a company, when they set up a fresh plant, it is known as greenfield. When they put their money in a company which is already there, take over a warehouse or a factory, it is known as a brownfield. And when they put their money via the stock exchange, then that is known as FPI. Okay? So that is the through securities. So that's the difference between FDI and FPI. So investments is one factor that you will track, right? What other factors would you track? Savings and investment patterns. So you have economic condition, you have taxation, you have monetary policy, you have making investment. So how much now people are saving and how much their people are investing. So that pattern you will track. ठीक है ना? इसके अलावा you will also track global factors, so all other factors which can impact your economy, है ना? Which could include the bilateral trade agreements also, है ना? And how other policies impact in other countries their national policies. For example, America wants investment in their country now, that is impacting our sector. So all their politics can also impact us. All global factors, including bilateral trade agreements, which is known as FTA, free trade agreement. There are other types of, there are 2-3 types of agreements, but one is most commonly heard of is free trade agreement. ठीक है, ये लिख लिया आपने. This is done. Can I erase this? Anyways, this will be available via video, so don't worry. Now, understanding. So, when it comes to understanding the industry, say for example, you're trying to understand. Second point, once you have understood the economy, you are researching on the industry. What is the most key point that you will first think of? You are going to research on the industry. What is the first point you will research on? Market size. Okay. What else? Okay. Okay. Annette, how about you? Think aloud. Prina, what is the first thing that you think about when it comes to industry? The potential growth. Okay. अच्छा, मान लीजिए आप फॉरेनर, मतलब यू आर सिटिंग इन सम फॉरेन कंपनी and representing some foreign firm. What is the first thing you would look at? First thing, potential growth है. All these answers are right, but I'm trying to drive as per the content, the text. All these points are, there's nothing wrong about it. So what is the first thing? Now you are a foreigner sitting and you want to invest in India. So what is, and you have to present to your investment committee. So what is the first thing you will talk about? So India you want to invest. Country is finalized. Which factor you will focus on first? बोलिए बोलिए. नहीं, first you finalize a bottom down, top down approach. So you figured out India is a green flag. Then you say, okay, this industry we want to invest within the industry. Within the industry, going top down. Market size. Okay. What else? Competition. So first thing would be, I think the starting point, obviously है growth है, competitive factors है. The first thing would be whether you are allowed to invest in this industry or not as a foreigner, as an investor. What's the regulatory environment? Regulatory environment would mean all sorts of, can I bring FDI? Can I get money? Can investors, foreigners invest? Can locals invest? Who can invest? What are the taxation? So all regulatory environment, that is one factor which is crucial. Obviously, competition you spoke about. Then you will also think of how will you make money in this one. So the business model, which includes the feasibility report, the financial modeling, all sorts of margins you can earn. So business models and all. You would also look at demand and supply factors. So you would also look at demand factors, how sensitive the demand is, etc. Consumer behavior, obviously. Those are covered in consumer behavior. So these are the factors that you would, and they would have then a detailed analysis of it. But if you are looking at now, remove that example. We spoke about that foreigners want to invest, but generally you should first understand the regulatory. That's a very important thing. So whether there is an opportunity, or you can look at the market size, etc., etc. The second or third slide in your presentation must talk about the regulatory. First could be the industry size itself, whether it is investable or not. If there is enough total addressable market, can I invest, yes or no? But regulatory forms a very important point, and that has to be vetted by a legal advisor, by a tax expert, by a legal advisor, by someone who's a SEBI consultant, someone who's an industry expert. This has a legal implication, whether foreigners. So that is a very important point. They highlight this in chapter 6, but very, very important. Now, when it comes to analyzing the companies, what are the factors that you would look at? You are analyzing a company. What factors would you look at? बोलिए. हाँ, financials, yes. What else? So financials I will put under business model. ठीक है ना? How does it make money? Does it make money, sufficient money? Hope the business model is not in conflict with its own plans. Sometimes there are companies, I'll give you examples, where the financial plan they have made is in conflict with its own DNA. There are some companies like that. हाँ, management behavior. So management, leadership. There are leadership. So regulatory challenges maybe you can think of, presence of union, etc. So that will come in the business model, union and all, whether you are allowed to operate. So the operating challenges, etc. Maybe you can do a SWOT analysis also to understand this. So you are doing these. You are looking at the financial statements, so financials of last 3-4 years, and I think they also have a chapter 7 and 8 which talks about. Essentially, remember, from an exam perspective, they can ask you whether you would look at a qualitative factors or quantitative factors or both. So would you look at only one factor or both? So this is from an exam question, possibly. Possibly they can ask. I mean, that is they would want to trick you. They'll give you that only qualitative factors, only quantitative, or both. So you would look at both. Okay. Now, now there is another topic which is interesting, which is basic principles of interaction with companies. So what are some of the basic principles of interaction with companies and clients? Companies / clients. So what are some of the basic principles? Let's understand what are the basic principles. The talk about, internet is definitely there, but internet will give you what do you call this kind of a survey when you're doing it sitting at your office or home? This is known as online. तो है ही, उसका नाम क्या? This is secondary research, but the text says, which is true also, no one can substitute primary research. That means you should have your own network and meet as many people as possible. So primary research is very, very important. Okay. Plus, you should understand that when you are doing primary research, the management may try to mislead you by giving you a very, good picture. Whatever they want to showcase, that may not be the true picture. So they can give you a picture, they can portray a picture which is not true. So they can highlight picture which is not true. So you have, or they can highlight a very positive picture. They can try and influence you, win over you. They'll take you out for lunch and dinner, good food. You get impressed. They'll make you stay. That's what happens. They'll offer you a charter plane. They'll send you chopper, because the factory is located at some distant location. So they will say, and these are the questions on your CFA ethics that they send you, because it is a distant location. So they send you by a charter plane, and whether you should disclose or not. So that all has to be disclosed in your, if you are a true analyst, in their research report. What kind of gifts you can accept, that is in your CFA ethics. So when we look at those case studies, we look at these examples. These are very interesting examples. They will try and win you over, but it impacts lives of crores of people if you put a buy recommendation. So you have to be very careful. And once your reputation is gone, it's gone forever. So daag achhe nahi hai in case, the stains are not good. So this is not like that surf thing. So always when you are doing a primary research, whatever information has been handed out, and maybe it is in a one-to-one conversation, maybe it is not a recorded conversation. So you have to go and cross check. So when evidences come to a good lawyer, when he's fighting for some case, he's representing his client, this is known as cross, क्या होता है word? So it is like doing a cross exam. You have heard that very popular case of Johnny Depp and Amber Heard. A lot of, and it was a widely publicized. Sabina. So cross examination has to be done. That means you have to cross check anything which comes from crime. How we used to do it? So say I am doing a primary research, and say I don't have access to the top management. Initially, I don't have, because first, maybe this is the first time you're doing it. It's an industry. So how do you build your knowledge before you examine or before you interview the top management? How would you do that? So first, maybe you go to an exhibition. NESCO is an example, or Pragati Maidan in Delhi is an example, or Bangalore. I think they also have a huge this thing where they do it. I think in Whitefield or somewhere they have a large setup. So you go and talk to, say this is stall number 1, this is stall number 2, this is stall number 3. So you would talk to the salesperson of this guy, this company, and maybe you are researching on this company. This is your subject matter. Okay? Then this guy offers you some numbers on sales. This is doing good. The market survey, market share, how the product is doing, etc., etc. Then the same set of information you will go and validate from this guy. That guy tells like that. Do you think this is true? He will start spinning out the beans. Then you go and try and validate all what these guys have said. I have actually done this. This is how you build information for sectors where there are not, the information is not available directly. And the segment that I have worked really hard is construction equipment segment. Do you know what is a construction equipment? Which company's name, the brand comes to your head when you say CE segment? We used to call it CE segment. Which company's name will come in your head first thing when I talk about construction equipment? It is none other than, correct, JCB has become like a common name, like a brand name, like a Bisleri. Every water is Bisleri, every machine is JCB. Okay? So this is exactly true. So this is known as cross validation or cross exam. Exactly you have to do like this. And I am talking about the earlier days, but still you have to do this. Then only you get, because the industry numbers will not be published. The model wise numbers, how do you figure out this model, this many numbers, this model, this many? If it is not published by the industry, then you have to do this, and this is how you make money out. Okay. So primary research is going and talking to people. Also, you would cross verify, and you require two things as an analyst. This is on the qualitative side. What questions you will ask? So you need your own. मतलब आपको खुद पता होना. You should be very clear on what you need to ask, and you require now how to develop this. Though this is not a part of this one. This only comes when you become a subject matter expert. You just sense that what he is speaking. If you are a newcomer in that industry, in that segment, what he will say, you will not, even if he clarifies twice or thrice, you will go and reiterate that. That means you are not a subject matter. So when you are a subject matter, you naturally develop good listening skills. It happens. It's a byproduct of that. So that's the only way to do that, because no one will tell you how to develop good listening. Good listening skills do not mean that start meditating. Meditation all does help. You have good listening skills, but does not mean that you go and start listening to videos and audios. You just have to be a subject matter. You have to read more. Then you just from the lips you can catch out that this is what he's trying to say. The way he nods his head to understand. Okay? So these are the two things. But this is definitely part of your text. Clarity of thoughts and a good listening skills are required. This is part of your text. Good listening skills are required. Right questions. So how do you ask the right questions? That is covered next. So there is something known as pre-meeting. What would you do? Research. Exactly. Okay. How would you do that? Research on the industry, research on the company, research on the person you are going to meet. The person you are going to meet. So check on all those factors you will check. So there is a pre-meeting research. Very, very important, because it is difficult to get that guy again. Who catch hold of that person again. You got a very senior guy, senior management, very difficult to catch hold of. So you have to go very well prepared. Your notes have to be structured, है ना? And you will also talk about the product, company's product. You will also talk about what the industry we have already seen and the competition. So these points you would know, these are easy and you will understand. Okay. The future plans, everything under this one. So product future plans that we will study in detail in the company section, chapter 8, 7 and 8. What is most required, what is required of you as a research analyst is independence of view and neutrality. Be neutral in nature when you are analyzing. नहीं तो you will be influenced. If you are influenced, not only you lose objectivity, not only you influence, I mean, this will impact your career essentially. So you should not be doing it. Okay? They very categorically mention that network is very important. This is mentioned in the textbook. I am so happy. At least there is some textbook, especially the research analysis book. It says. So let me remind you of a very popular thought, which says your network is network. So build your network. That is the main skill set. Reading textbooks, reading research reports, reading online will not help. Only when you talk to people, you get, and not necessarily you get the information from the top management. Sometimes the middle guy is the key. He solves the puzzle. So sometimes the middle guy, and sometimes a junior guy can also solve the puzzle in understanding what are the problems with the product, why the company is not operating, what challenges. Maybe he's been just hired as an intern or an MT, management trainee, or a graduate trainee, GT. He'll tell you, sir, this is the problem. This is why people are not accepting. Others will not accept that. So when you talk to people, so maybe the someone within the system has noticed a real problem which others have not noticed. So talk to everyone, and then again, if you are asking any questions, you are required to have clarity of thoughts and clarity of questions. We already spoken about it, but just writing so / clarity of questions. What questions are you going to ask? Later I'll tell you as part of the behavioral training, there are 3 types of questions. It is not part of the text, but let me tell you, because you are MBA students, so you should know that. There is an opening question, open-ended question, not opening question. There are 3 types of questions. One is open-ended question, second is a leading question, and third is a close-ended question. This is generally the interview style, so build on your interview style. We'll talk about it later on. Open-ended questions, close-ended questions, leading questions, and so open-ended followed by leading questions followed by close-ended. So that's the sequence. 1, 2, 3. It is OLC. It is OLC. 1, 2, and 3. This is the setup. So this you can use for any kind of interview, probing, sales skill. This is used. Okay? But this is not part of your NISM. And you should have specific set of questions in mind. So obviously, if you're asking, you have a limited time, so you would have specific questions. In the interest of the time, your questions should be already noticed. Okay? There are certain guidelines that we'll talk about now. So certain guidelines as far as communication with the client is concerned. Just give me one second. There are certain guidelines as far as the communication with the clients is concerned. What are those? This thing. So when you communicate to your client, who's your client here? For a research analyst, the client is his investor base. Okay, na? So what would you do? How would you communicate? There should be clarity of, so look at this. So this should be based on facts and figures. Okay, na? based on facts and figures. Whatever you are communicating to your client should be based on facts and figures. So that is one point. Okay. It should be the communication done via the research report should be concise. What else? It should be clear plus concise. That is why usually you see that all your research reports are how many pages generally? Tell me how many pages are these? 3 to 4 pages. Understood? These are the research reports are. There is a particular reason why they are. Which financial report is lengthy? Go to. No. It is about research report. Financial statements will have all those clauses and footnotes and schedules which is required by Companies Act. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about the equity research report. Go and check on trend line. Okay? If there is any conflict of interest, it should be disclosed. Very, very important. No one does that. Mostly, I don't know. I'm not sure whether people are doing that. But if you hold the shares, if you have any interest, now people on TV, you will see CNBC, they'll say that I may or my clients may hold this when you come and speak on the TV. They disclose. So this is very, very important. Conflict of interest should be disclosed beforehand. So if you have any position in that those shares that you're recommending, either to buy or sell or to hold, you should disclose to your clients that you have a position in hand. Okay? Assumptions must be disclosed very clearly. So assumptions, any assumption that you have, that you should disclose. So any assumption, please disclose to the client what assumptions you have made, especially in your business model or financial model. Very, very important. Okay? Any abbreviations or jargons used, okay? Any jargons should be explained in the annexures, should be avoided. Usually avoid it because people of all categories, of all education level are reading this. Usually avoid abbreviations and jargons. In case you have done that, so disclose. We'll write all the pointers now. First is based on facts on figures, F and F. Facts and figures. Once it is based on facts and figures, disclose any. It should be clear and concise. CNC. ठीक है. उसके बाद क्या करोगे आप? What is required? Any conflict of interest should be disclosed. है ना? और क्या है? All assumptions should be disclosed. All assumptions again disclosed, and jargons usually avoided. But in case you have used any jargons or abbreviations, then explain that. Maybe you can have an annexure or something to explain. So these are the facts and figures, clear and concise. That is with the report. This is with the number and data. This is with the report. This is for the report. This is for the data that you got. Conflict. This is with your investments usually, or if you have got any association directly, indirectly, you're getting paid, have been on some one of their they've been on their roles, assumptions with the business model. So that is with the report. Any assumption, disclose it. And if you have used any jargons with the report, disclose it. ठीक है ना? याद रहेगा ना? I think this is easy. Okay. So now the point is, what are the important qualities of an RA? Important qualities of RA. What are some of the important qualities? Unbiased है ना? First of so he should have quantitative skills, very good quantitative skills, and he should have very good वो सब है qualitative. So that's on the listening and all is on the qualitative side. ठीक है? So he should have very good quantitative and qualitative skills, business models, competition, dynamics, etc. So he should be good with the numbers, which is this one, quantitative. He should be good with the Excel. So Excel now, maybe Python, maybe R, whatever. Financial concepts he should know. That is also there. He should have very good reading and comprehension skills. Comprehension is the most point. He should have ability to ask questions, so frame questions, and important ones, so pertinent questions. He should also have attention to details. He should also have communication skills, both written. So, lot of skill sets that all you can think of, on the behavioral side. Ask, read, write. All senses should be functional, especially while conducting the interview. है ना? ऐसा नहीं कि he should go while he's intoxicated or he's not under the influence of something, so he should not do that. So that completes your chapter 1. Okay, so let me pause this and